Air France Flight 072 was assigned the VOR DME approach to runway 22 at Faa International Airport. It was nighttime and the weather conditions were clear. The airplane was in configuration for landing on a stabilized approach with a normal descent path and had minimal deviations from the approach airspeed of 149 knots. The autopilot was disconnected and the auto throttles were engaged. At the missed approach point, since a continued flight path had not been programmed, the airplane automation commanded a go-around. The autopilot was not engaged, so the airplane's pitch was not changed. However, the auto throttles were commanded to full forward thrust. The increase in thrust caused the airplane to begin a slight climb. It also caused the airspeed to increase significantly to 189 knots before the pilots responded and pulled the throttles back to idle. Because they had not disengaged the auto throttle system, and the system was attempting to maintain go-around thrust, the pilot had to hold the throttles at idle. The throttles were continuing to try to increase the thrust, but the pilot's effort to restrain them prevented the thrust increase from occurring. Holding the throttles at idle allowed the airspeed to decrease to 168 knots before touchdown. However, the touchdown airspeed was almost 20 knots faster than the calculated approach speed. Coupled with the interruption in the airplane's descent path, this caused the airplane to touch down approximately 3,000 feet down the runway. Around the time of touchdown, the number 1 throttle slipped from the pilot's hand and was commanded to full forward thrust by the auto throttles. The pilots did not notice the number 1 throttle's position and moved the other 3 engines into reverse thrust. The airplane continues to slow down. However, the number 1 engine was still at full forward thrust. As a result, the airplane began to veer to the right and exited the runway approximately 10,300 feet down the runway and came to a stop in the lagoon just off the side of the runway.